Hello, and welcome to another episode of I Demand a Homestead. My name is Amanda, and today we're going to do the third part of our series on pruning fruit trees. So we did one already on kind of the basics of how to prune your fruit tree. So you're thinking about the structure, you're thinking about making thinning cuts, and then you're thinking about how to prune for the fruit to develop. Then our second video was on how to prune a smaller young tree so that way you get better structure and fruit production earlier on. And then today what we're going to talk about is how to prune a tree that's gotten somewhat too big. So in this case, we have our plum trees. We have two plum trees over here. And they're supposed to be semi-dwarf trees, but they've gotten a little bit out of control. So these are pretty vigorous trees. I have actually pruned them and they just keep growing and growing and growing. So what I want to do today is, and because these are very vigorous trees, I can be a little bit more aggressive in my pruning without being afraid of injuring them. So I'm going to do maybe a little bit more than what you might. So just think about when you're thinking about your overgrown tree, how healthy it is. If it's a really old tree, you're going to probably want to do this more slowly. I'm going to do maybe a little bit more, but again, I'm not going to do all of this at once. I'll probably do part of it this year and then part of it again next spring. And this is the perfect time of year to be pruning trees before the buds have broken, and also when it's not too cold. Like it's just above freezing here, and that's perfect. So what we're going to start with, we'll start with this tree, and we want to first of all start pruning for structure. And what I want is I want a really open kind of canopy. So there's a few too many branches kind of in the middle, and even big branches I'm going to probably take out here. So I know there's an old kind of expression that you should be able to I think it was for the big standard trees, you should be able to toss the family cow through the branches, which kind of gives you an idea how much space there's supposed to be. But for these semi-dwarf trees, I think they say it should be just like a little dog or like a big cat or something like that. So, but clearly we could not toss anything through this tree without it hitting another branch. And the reason why that matters is we want to get more space for light and airflow, because the light allows the fruit to ripen and to develop. So that's what we're after. Okay, so let me stop and I'll gather my tools and we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so now I have my tools. I'll just go over these real quick. We do talk a little bit about them as well in the first video. So what you need, and these are not very fancy, but they get the job done. So I have a little saw that works as a pruning saw. And it's nice because it's kind of a smaller blade, so I can get in there to where I need to. So this saw would be for any branches that are over an inch or an inch and a half thick, okay? Yeah, probably over an inch. And then we have a big set of loppers here. These are for branches that are between 1/2 to 1 inch thick. And then for anything that's smaller than that, I just have a little pair of pruning shears, which I kind of just tuck into my back pocket. And then all of these I have cleaned and sharpened before the season so that way they're ready to go. And the last thing I want to say is you want to make sure that you clean your equipment between the trees so that way if one tree has an infection, you're not transferring it to another tree. So we'll get started on this tree. So I'm going to start, because we're going to start first of all pruning for structure. Probably the first branch I'm going to go for is to try and open up the middle a little bit. And I am going to probably take out this branch right here. Okay, can you see that? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that one out and then we'll come back and kind of show you what it looks like without that. Okay, so I've taken out this branch here. You can kind of see where it is. So I've opened up this part in here a fair little bit, which I'm happy about. I still probably am going to take out one more main branch before I start kind of working on the height. So I was looking at it, and I'm probably going to take out this branch here because it crosses over this one. and it kind of just crowds everything in there, and so I don't want that. So I'm going to take out this one right down close to the base here, and that's going to allow this branch over here to expand a little bit and create kind of more room in between all the main branches, which is what we're after. Okay, so I will cut that one off and then we will come back. Okay, so now I've taken off this branch here, and you can kind of see this part here is kind of opening up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my step ladder, and we're going to start kind of taking off some of the tops here. All right, so here I am. I'm up in the canopy of the tree. I'm only about 2 feet off the ground, and so this is kind of the maximum height I would want to be at for picking fruit. So I would want all the fruit to be within my kind of arm's length. So for that to happen, I want to cut these main branches back probably around my chest height. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to again use my little pruning saw to cut back the main branches to that height, and then we'll come back and show you kind of how it looks at that point. So now we have kind of adjusted the height of this tree as much as I want to do this here. And if you kind of compare it to the height of the tree that's next to it, you can kind of see the difference and how thick the tree next to it is in comparison to this one that we've thinned out a lot. So now I'm going to make a few thinning cuts to just correct some things that are going on. So what you want to do is you want to get rid of branches that are crossing over, like this one. Branches that are growing in towards the middle of the tree, you don't necessarily want those because we want it nice and open. And then we want to trim back any branches that are really kind of vegetative, that are not going to produce any fruit. So a good example of what they call a water spout or sprout, I can never remember how to say it, is this branch right here. So you can see it doesn't have any real kind of side twigs or anything like that. It just wants to grow straight up. This is not going to produce any fruit. So I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of it. There. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a few of those kind of thinning cuts, and then we'll probably be done for this year because there's more stuff that I could do, but I don't want to injure this tree. Okay? So we'll do a few more, and then we'll take a look at the next one. So at this point, I'm finished with this tree for this year. It's not perfect, but it will definitely do. It's better than it was. There's way more kind of open air and spaces, so you're less likely to get fungal diseases. You're going to get more light coming down into those branches to ripen and develop your fruit. So this is kind of what we want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take on the next one, which is another overgrown plum tree. So what we'll do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to start by taking out some of those big branches to open up the canopy. Then I'm going to reduce the height, thinking kind of about that I want that 10-foot height for maximum height. And then I'm going to make some thinning cuts. So what we'll do is we'll film this tree now, and then we'll come back when it's all done, and then you can see the difference. All right, and you can go. Okay, so here we are. We have finished with our 2 plum trees, and I have reduced the height by quite a bit, and I've taken out quite a few branches. It's not maybe as thin as what I would like, but obviously we can't do everything in 1 year. These are very vigorous trees, so I've been quite aggressive, as you may notice. As I said before, do not do this if your trees are even the least bit kind of not super vigorous. If you're going to have like an apple tree or a pear that doesn't grow quite so quickly, just do this more in stages, okay? But I know these trees, they grow fast, and so we can kind of get away with it. So I can't quite swing a fat cat through there, but it's definitely better. I've taken out a lot of the branches, I've opened it up. I've gotten rid of any branches that were dropping down. I've gotten rid of branches that were crossing over, so that way the sun is going to get down onto this tree an awful lot better. So thank you very much for joining me for another episode of I Demand a Homestead. If you like our videos, please feel free to press the subscribe button, and we'll see you again soon. And if you have any comments about the pruning or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment box, and we can have a great discussion about this. All right, so take care and have a great day.